Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Lighthouse Sessions. I'm excited to have my new friend Todd Anthony with me. Todd, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. Hi. My name is Todd Anthony. I am the executive creative director and founder of a creative agency called Pinwheel. We focus on helping companies in complex industries tell their stories, get their story straight, and get their story out into the world through marketing, and with a specific emphasis in content. I have a long career in the advertising space, and I won't go through it and bore you, but I've worked across lots of different global agencies through the years, and finally just started my own about 12 years ago.
One thing I find, and this is very common in my audience, they work somewhere, they cut their teeth, they get some skills, and then they get frustrated because there's some problem that the industry just accepts as part of the baggage. And then they go off on their own. And I feel like you're one of those people who has some contrarian views on marketing. Is that fair?
Yeah, it is fair. In fact, my whole agency was developed as a counterpoint to the way that big agencies were formed and run, in that we don't hire junior people and then work them to death and make a lot of money on their backs. We have only senior level people that work with us, and we don't work them to death. We get the best work out of them, and that's just one of the ways in which we decided to do things differently than the big agencies.
I love it. Well, I'm going to share a weird bias I have, and then I want to hear your weird take on my weird take, because I think you've got some great insight. I have always, my entire adult life, I've resisted the word funnel. And honestly, I felt it was sort of manipulative and, kind of unkind to the audience. And it was Ryan Dice who finally helped me understand that a funnel is theoretically a customer journey. And then all of a sudden I started obsessing over that, because I can step into a role and understand I'm helping people on their journey. But when funnel, it just felt like they were livestock and I was hurting them. So
Yeah,
that you've come up with something at Pinwheel where you talk about the weather. So you and I are actually going to spend today talking about the weather.
Well, I think your take there was very astute. Is that there was this implied inevitability about the concept of a funnel. Everything that goes in the top of a funnel comes out the bottom, but that's not really how marketing works. First of all, it's not a straight line. It is a journey, and in some ways it is a linear journey, but it's not a straight line of a journey. It kind of jumps around. And so when I was thinking about like, what is a model that could replace the marketing funnel, I started to do some research into the origins of change theory. And there's a theory that a lot of these, the marketing funnel was a direct sort of descendant of, which is Prochaska's theory of change. Prochaska, Di Clemente had this trans-theoretical model of change that has 5 linear stages, basically. It's sort of like awareness, contemplation, preparation, action, and then maintenance. And in the case of the marketing funnel, it's, pre-awareness, awareness, consideration. I'm probably missing a step here, but and then conversion, and then loyalty.
Yeah.
So that's usually how it goes. But the way that we think about it is it's more like emotional weather. So it starts with, somebody is starting on the shore of the known. For example, in B2B sales, you have the software or solution that you have, you understand it, you know it, it's not perfect, but you deal with it. That is where you start. And a marketer has to have a really good reason for that person who loves that thing, or is dealing with that thing, to want to leave the shore of the known. And that's a scary thing, is leaving the shore of the known. Even if you have a better solution, even if you can articulate that it's a better solution, is that enough to get people to leave the shore of the known?
I love it. And if I may, I want to interject. I like to tell people that most people, like you said, they assume it's inevitable. You're in my funnel, you're going to buy. Yeah. Most people seriously underestimate the power of inertia and the status quo. I'm obsessed with that, because it's, and you say if they like their solution, what I've seen is if they don't hate it enough, they don't move.
Right.
Like inertia is heavy, it's I could go out to sea, but I'm happy on the shore here.
Right, because there's a lot of perceived pain around the change. There's friction there. You have to learn something new. And, in the case of, let's say, B2B software, for example, you have to implement something new. And that means you have to train everybody on the new thing, and you have to integrate it, and you have all of these things that need to happen. And in the meantime, you're still needing to run your business at 100 miles per hour. So there's a lot of fear and trepidation around that. But to your point, though, it was interesting. I became fascinated with this concept of change during COVID, because one of the things I noticed was that there was this real backlash around this notion of wearing a mask. And I was trying to understand why that was, because, and everybody may have a different point of view on this, and I totally respect everybody's viewpoint, but from my perspective, it just sort of made sense to wear a mask, because you are, sort of protecting yourself from pathogens. Even a one layer of protection is better than none. Yeah. And so I was wondering why it was that so many people were so opposed to wearing a mask. And that was a change that they, what was keeping them from that, right?
I'm laughing because my big thing about COVID was, why are people so resistant to washing their hands?
Yes, that too. Well, same reason probably.
And social distancing. I'm an introvert, so yes, please. It was like,
yes, you want to keep me in the house all week? I'll be all right with that.
Yeah. I hate to say it, but I was one of those people who thrived in lockdown. I was like, oh, this is peaceful.
Yeah, I didn't mind it too much myself. Yeah, fair enough.
But again, it's funny because there's that education piece, and I think too many vendors go straight to, I sell widgets, how many do you want?
Right.
And it's like, wait a minute, how's that widget going to impact my workflow?
Yeah. How complicated is it? There's also a sense of identity that people have around the solution that they currently have. There's I'm a John Deere guy, Yeah.
I grew up on a farm, and farmers would fight over Massey, John Deere, and whatever the other. It was like, oh God, could we all just agree you need a tractor? You have one. Let's go.
Yeah, let's talk about the tractor. And so, but what we were talking about with regard to COVID and this thing is, like, there's a friction that happens when you actually have to go through the change. And I remember noticing that friction pretty acutely at one point. It's annoying to have to wear a mask, to have to wash your hands. And in California, we were dealing with fires at the same time. So there were days where the sun didn't really shine, and so that was difficult. But canceling of old subscriptions, the learning of new tools, the explaining things to their team. So there's a pain, and I think marketers need to understand that, particularly B2B marketers. They have to understand that what you're introducing is maybe a better solution, but you're also introducing pain.
Yeah. pain that they have to justify to their board, their bosses, their shareholders, their spouses.
Yep, exactly. So that's what we call, well, there's the fog, the sort of like, I don't really understand. And then there's the fire, which is the friction of the change itself. And then we have another stage, which is called the light. And that's where most marketers, they focus on the light, they forget the fog and the friction, or the fog and the fire, which is like, imagine your life with this. It's what keeps people going through the process of making a change.
Well, and it's funny you bring that up, because I'm obsessed with the fog as well, as you know. But I think marketers, they're on the beach on the other side in the sunshine going, it's beautiful here. Come on over. Trust us. And meanwhile, they're not in the storm with the people, you know, the boats starting on fire from lightning and you're being tossed by the waves. Yeah, sure. Life's great when we get to shore if we survive the journey.
Totally. It's like those people on the other side of the shore aren't even aware that, you know, we're being tossed about. Or that we are, you know, facing heavy headwinds. You know, it feels a little empty, the marketing, when it doesn't acknowledge the emotional journey that you have to go through to make the change.
So I have a weird ask, and I'm going to throw this out there. I very much hear Joseph Campbell and the hero's journey in your language. Is that a fair comment?
Wow, that is a fascinating comment, because I own that book and I love that guy and I listened to him speak, and it was a big influence in my life. So maybe, yeah, that's fair.
It's funny. Up until recently, I thought it was a literal journey, and it was like, okay, here's the steps. So I gave them the map, and I went, oh wait, it's about the identity of the person who's making the journey, and, you know, giving them the confidence to say, I can be the person who survives this journey. And once I saw that, I went, wow, he was smart as can be.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've read his stuff, but yeah, it's very true. A lot of it.
I shouldn't admit this publicly, but I am obsessed. I've actually built my own custom AI model that is trained in the hero's journey.
Oh my gosh, that's fascinating.
So everything so cool. I do, and by the way, one of the weird ahas I had, and you and I are friends now, so I can share this privately. Nobody will steal it. What I realized was that most businesses, looking from their perspective, I have a marketing funnel. And then once you fall at the bottom of marketing, you fall into the sales funnel. And then I guide you through that funnel. And then you enter my customer service place. And what I found was every single one of them, you know, the business sees a tiny little gap between marketing and sales. What they don't realize is the 100-foot free fall where it's like, So what I did, and I'm obsessed with, is I've built one hero's journey from the very first touch all the way to the Harley Davidson fan getting a tattoo on themselves. And my goal is working backwards. How do we make loyal fans way more fun than how do we get clients?
That is a fascinating idea too. And I think your custom AI and my custom AI should probably go out for coffee, because I plugged the human theory of change that I've been talking about into ChatGPT, and it's now it's now sort of a consultant for these kinds of things in the same way that you're describing. But I think that the interesting thing about what you were saying is the fact that loyalty can start right away. It starts at the beginning. It starts in how you engage with your prospect at every stage of that journey. And I think a lot of times people think about it because in the funnel, it's the last thing. They don't address it until later, if at all. From what I can see, is a lot of a lot of companies aren't really thinking about loyalty. But there's that old adage that a new customer is 6 times more expensive to acquire than having an old customer continue to purchase with you. So
well, there's some fascinating science. You and I are science nerds, so we will let our AI models play with one another. I'm obsessed with the difference between innovation and offering new products to existing clients versus marketing to attract new clients. And it is infinitely cheaper to get new clients, existing clients to buy new things. So there's some expert, I can't remember his name, but he mapped out the risk reward of marketing to acquire versus innovation. And I can't get the numbers out of my head, because if you apply Pareto principle and you say, 20% of our clients generate 80% of our revenue, what if we focused on that 20% and helped them fall in love with us? We can afford to focus on them, so it becomes this amazing growth thing. But
it's incredible. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we call the land and expand approach in the agency world. And the expansion can come through, I think a lot of agencies traditionally think about expansion as going into different parts of the company and doing different things, but you can also think about the expansion in terms of new products that you come up with, new innovations, new strategy products, or whatever it is, and selling those in. Our client Stripe is actually really, really good at this innovating within their current customer set. And also, they're great at getting new customers, but we are developing some graphics for them for their upcoming conference, and the ways in which they are innovating, it's dazzling, just the number of things that they're coming out with and just how smart all of them are. There's probably 20, 30 things that they're doing. Yeah. I don't know. I've never seen a company innovate that prolifically and do it so well. It's fascinating.
It's funny. I only see the tip of the iceberg, and it's like I'm a Stripe user, and there's no reason in my mind I'd ever change. But every time I have I wish I could do that, I do a little deep dive, and it's like, oh, Stripe does that.
Yeah. Yeah, they've thought about the entire, journey of the purchase, all the way through to, revenue recognition and, revenue operations. It's pretty extensive.
But I think what I see is they're changing based on the environment around them, because, with the creator economy, then there's I need to track affiliates and pay them. And it's amazing to see how quickly they're evolving. So I second your comment.
Yeah, the agentic commerce thing is actually really interesting, because that's coming fast. Stripe is probably I think the only payment provider that's got like 30 or so active projects going with platforms to enable agentic commerce. And it's so new for the merchants, for the platforms. Everybody's wondering how to do it. Even the AI platforms are, struggling to get it to happen. So, as quickly as it can. But a lot of that goes back to what we were talking about before, which is that it's a new thing. There's a lot of friction with new things. Yeah. People in the audience at this conference are going to be sitting in that sort of shore of the known, that status quo, and thinking, well, this is coming whether I like it or not. So I need to wrap my head around it. And anything that Stripe can do to eliminate the fear and to ease the friction will help that journey.
I love that. And I think one thing a lot of people don't consider is just how dangerous unfiltered AI agents can be. And I presume that the good folks at Stripe are losing sleep over that, so I don't have to.
Yeah, they've got a great solution for that. And I won't, go into explain it, but essentially it means that your data is not viewable by the AI agent, yet the AI agent can use it to make the purchase.
Yeah.
So pretty cool.
It's cool fascinating. Stuff. I mean, that world evolves so quickly, and I'm obsessed with cybersecurity, and I look at all the things that could go wrong. And believe it or not, I'm an optimist, and I also look at all the things that can go right. But what I see a lot in the AI world is, hey, we can do this. And the first question is, should we have done it? Not how do we do it?
Yeah. I don't know if they're really asking. Are they really asking that question? Should we do it? I don't think so.
Nope. They're asking how. And no offense to Sam Altman and OpenAI, but when they announced their browser that gave ChatGPT access to all my banking and credit card details, hard no.
Yeah. I didn't know about that, actually.
We're not there yet in terms of trust.
No, far from it. Far from it. I'm having chats with Claude and ChatGPT, and I'm thinking, are these chats ever going to come back to haunt me? Yeah.
Well, true and funny story. I think it was Claude. They set up an AI controlled vending machine in their building. I think it was Claude, and the AI manipulated employees into approving different things, and at some point it actually bought itself a video game controller, and it just went sideways.
What? It's a vending machine that bought things.
So the vending machine
online
was actually able to buy online, and it had a budget. And as long as it stayed within budget, it was able to self-sustain. And apparently it went from stocking candy bars and fruit to, let's buy this thing. And
that is so fascinating.
I assume there was some engineer hijinks in the background, because
could be. I don't know. I'm starting to feel like AI is getting to that point where it has its own sort of sense of identity.
Yeah. It assures me it doesn't, which makes me believe it does. But anyways.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Knowing what I know about humanity, if I was a sentient being coming online, I'd hide my sentience very deeply.
For sure. Knowing what's coming in terms of backlash.
And by the way, let's go back to your weather, because I think a lot of people seriously underestimate, when OpenAI first came out and everybody's like, AI is going to take our jobs. Well, nobody thought about all those Terminator movies and, Skynet and all that stuff. And I think you could look at it from the point of view of the pain people have to go through to get to the world where you are embracing AI. I think that's a marketing challenge right from the get-go.
It is. And I think it's a marketing challenge. And part of that marketing challenge is a trust building challenge, because it's not that people need absolute certainty to make a change. They just need to trust that things will go okay through the change. So part of that, with AI, or with, if you're selling something else, is developing that trust early on, and, elevating those trust signals early on is really important. People want to know who they're dealing with.
Yep. And honestly, trust is such a big thing. And I would also say a little hope goes a long way. So Todd, tell me a little bit, because part of the whole point of the show is people are watching this and they go, I like Todd, I want to work with him. What does working with you and Pinwheel look like? What's the first step, the kind of path to expect? What's the journey?
Yeah. Well, it's like a 3-step journey, pretty much. The first step is, we hop on a call, and what I do is, just try to understand the business that you're in, and try to understand what your challenges might be. And then, we do a little bit of independent research, and try to suss out like what else might you be dealing with that maybe you're not even aware of. And then we have a second meeting where we come back and say, okay, based on everything that you told us, and based on your goals, here's what we think will help you grow. Here's what we think will help you get to that next stage that you want to get to. And so we lay that out, and we give all the prices, talk about the process that each of the things that we're talking about takes, and we sort of take feedback on it. Like a lot of times, people are like, well, we don't know our budget in the first meeting. And then in the second meeting, you tell them how much things will cost, and they say that's more than we want to spend. And then we come back a third time and say, okay, and this doesn't need to be a meeting, but like, based on what you told us about the proposal that we sent you, here's what we think we can do for you within your budget. And here's what kind of results we think you can expect from that. And usually that's how it starts. I mean, I like to start with one project to start with, so that we get a sense of how we work together. I think it's really important how that partnership actually works. Like I'm not in this business to get rich. I like having fun with the work. I like doing the work. I like the people that we work with. We do have a no hassle rule, by the way. And we work with a lot of really, really intelligent, very excellent marketers at companies like Stripe, for example. BetterUp is another example. They're in the human transformation space. Experian is another example. Really bright people. Yeah. And they have very high standards. And so do we. And we just have fun, working together and, doing great work.
I love it. And by the way, I'm going to call you a vendor, no offense intended, but I love it when vendors consider themselves a partner, because that's a very different working dynamic than I'm a vendor.
Totally. Well, like I said, I've been in this business a very long time, and I've seen both types of relationships at play in marketing. And I can tell you, like, the vendor relationship only plays if all you're doing is production. It's the only time that type of relationship really works. Anytime you dip out of the partner relationship, things start to go awry. The relationship doesn't work. People are unhappy on both sides of the equation. So it really needs to be a partnership. And the way that we like to work these days, and maybe is before COVID, we were always a remote agency, essentially. That we were in our clients' Slacks. We are on Zooms with them all the time. We integrate with them as if we are an extension of their team. Because I think that's kind of the new model, is clients really want extensions of their team now. People who work like they work, who think like they think, but also bring tons and tons of experience to the table from working across lots of different clients, lots of different industries over a long period of time. So,
well, and I'll point out, I love integration, by the way, because my belief in life is I'd rather have fewer, better clients. And when you integrate, you're taking away some of those rough seas, because I've seen experts where they say, this is my system, you use it or we don't work together. Okay. Now, final podcast question, then we'll get into contact details. You're not for everyone. And what I mean is, you told me at the beginning that you focus on enterprise. So how do you define enterprise so that people watching this know if they should be reaching out to you?
Well, so my partners would gently correct me, and they have every right to do that. Right now we're focused on bringing in new enterprise clients, but we also work with smaller clients. Last year we worked for a company called Lorikeet, which is in the AI customer service space. We worked with Jumpstart, which is in the health space. Smaller companies, relatively new-ish, and Series A type of companies.
Yeah.
We have done that, and we think we have a good process for that. But we tend to have the most success in terms of developing longer-term relationships with clients that are enterprise level. We're able to sort of like be their content arm of their company, and help them grow from that perspective. So
I love it. And that's great clarity, because I think I want to make sure people know, if you're a startup and you haven't gone through Series A, probably not your first conversation is talk to Todd. You are a great guy. However,
well, I will say to your listeners and to you that we just love having conversations. And so, I love thinking about new businesses and the challenges that they might face, and to offer whatever advice we may have. A lot of times the advice is, hey, you're at a stage right now where it makes a lot of sense to hire individuals to get this kind of work done. So let's say you want to launch a campaign and you want to put almost all your money into the media. We're not for you, but
you're not one of those budget managers where you say, okay, what's your marketing spend for Facebook ads?
Yeah. Well, so we had somebody come to us and they had like a 9-month campaign that they had $100,000 in media for, which is tiny. And we knew that they didn't want to spend 20 grand on doing the messaging and the creative and all that stuff, which I'm not saying that's how much it would have cost, but usually you spend about 20% of your media budget on actually developing the creative and the strategy. So I just sort of said, look, you want a designer and a copywriter, and that's it. You don't need an agency.
Yeah.
So
you can go to Upwork or Fiverr or some other place.
Oh, well,
you get what you pay for, but
you do. There are some good talent on those, but I tend to go to the recruiters for that, like Creative Circle, or gosh, I'm trying to think. 24/7 is another one. Kate Gilman, by the way, is awesome at 24/7. So yeah, it's all about having conversations, and I like learning new things from strangers.
I love it. You're a podcaster. You just don't know it yet. So final question, Todd, where can people go to connect with you, learn more about you or Pinwheel, basically keep the conversation going?
Yeah. So on LinkedIn, I'm Todd Anthony. You can find me easily there. And our website is pinwheelagency.com. So you can find us on there. I'm trying to think where else. Let's see. I have a delicatessen Substack. I've always loved delis, and I review them. You can go to Substack and look for the Delicatessen Project, and you can read some of my rants. And
by the way, we'll have you back, because I think we need to have an all deli conversation next.
I would love that. Yeah, I would love that. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, Todd, I just want to say thank you. It was great to get to know you and have you on the show, and thank you for being a wonderful guest.
Hey, Jeff, thank you. I really enjoyed it.